Begin. What's happening, plebs? We out here with another History of the Yugo player episode, and I believe this is number 6. And today we've got CCG's Themis, and we're gonna be talking about his story and how we got into the game and what's going on and stuff. So, hello, man. Yeah, take it away. Just start from the beginning. Tell us how you started, where you started, why you started, etc., etc.
Right. So when I first touched Yu-Gi-Oh cards was when I was 10, I think. When a friend randomly just showed me the cards. We were watching the anime, and he showed me the cards and told me where he bought them. So I bought some boosters, and they were from Pharaoh 7. But after a very short time, I just stopped. We were just playing, the two of us. So I started the game on Ancient Prophecy, I think. At the end of Raging Battle, a little bit before Ancient Prophecy was released. So that would be 2009, I think, or 2008, something like that.
How old were you?
22 now.
Oh, okay. So you started. So you weren't really at straight at the beginning. That's interesting. But yeah.
Well, I wasn't keeping up with the beginning of the whole stuff. You can say the game was non-existent for me. I just had the card, some cards. I bought 3 boosters or something, and we had the starter decks.
Oh, what was your first deck you made?
I have no idea. It had Dark Magician, I remember.
Of course.
And the Summon Skulls and the Mad Dog of Darkness, every 18,000 beater. And
18,000 beater.
1800 really, yeah. And 3 Summon Skulls, we had a bottomless and a trap hole and all this stuff. I think that was the only thing you could play back then.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And sounds about boring, I guess.
So how old were you at the time? You must have been 2009, so that's 7 years ago. That makes you 14?
Around that time, yeah, 14 to 15, yeah.
Oh, so I mean,
was on 9th grade.
That's still pretty old. Well, not old, but you're able to understand and stuff. It's not like other people who start when they're 10 or something. You know, they really don't know what they're doing.
It's I think it was the most influential period of the game. It was the period that Ude was switching to Konami for the ownership of the game, and I felt all the switches from how the game was working. And back then we were playing decks which only had the good cards inside. If you see the whole zombie themed deck, it was okay, it had zombie cards, but there was no archetype there. It was you could splash Destiny Heroes, Diva, and all this stuff back then. And the Synchro Cat deck, and all these were decks that were just good cards and good deck building behind it, but no archetypes. Mm-hmm. And at the summer of 2010, half a year, 9 months, I think, after I started, X Sabers was the first super competitive archetype deck. So that was exactly when Konami got the ownership of the game and could do whatever they wanted. Then Duelist Revolution got released, and that's when everything changed.
What was that change like? Because a lot of people don't really mention much about that upper deck Konami.
I am losing you. I hear nothing from you.
Oh shit.
Testing. I literally hear nothing.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, no, it's better.
Okay, good.
Better.
Yeah, what was that change from upper deck to Konami? Because not a lot of people mention it, but how did it affect the game? You know, it's it's kind of hard for you to tell because you were obviously really young at the time and you weren't really playing competitively. But I mean, you probably
Yeah.
noticed like a little bit.
The the biggest change I remember is that Ude had a ranking system which rewarded a lot of players with qualifications for Euros and I think qualification for Worlds. I'm not sure. And right now, there's no ranking system. Like for sure, I remember that back then, to go to Euros, you need to be on the top 10 of your country's ranking list or Europe's list. I don't remember. And you had to top your nationals, and that's how you could go to Euros. And that was like really, really good. And I have my friends out. I remember them telling me stories that they were playing at locals, and they would rage the shit out of them and throw tables because they lost just one game, a match to a random, and that would destroy their ranking. And they were going crazy for their ranking.
So it's a lot harder back in the day.
Locals mattered a lot back then because of the ranking system, and one big change that was that happened like this happened over time was that during OD period, a lot of cards were going into huge prices like Darkham Dragon, Judgment Dragon, Crash Card. Like they were going to huge prices, and the most expensive card that happened during that was like during Konami era would be Tour Guide when it reached 160, like Tour Guide and Dragon Cycle, yeah. But like these cards happen if you see them, they were not happening often. Like Ball of Duality was at 100, and that was in 2010, and that 2011 Tour Guide was released. So after a year, and Dragon Cycle was in 2013. So like there were not; these were the huge prices back. But if you see at the past, like Darkham Dragon was over 200. I think he was close to 300. Same with Judgment Dragon. And
Just
don't
for
get me
one?
started about Crash Card.
Just for one?
Yeah, like just for one. Yeah, the prices were huge. Just for one.
That's pretty crazy.
And these are like generally many changes. Yeah, I think, but I can't get started in because like I think there were many in competitive play, but I can't say for sure for what happened because I wasn't playing competitive back then.
So do you think it was better back then because like locals is obviously more important? And if locals is important, that means like more people come, there's like more community, more friends. Like, do you think that's better how it was before, or?
Depends. Like Konami period, I have lived the fall of it, but OD period, I haven't. But it was more competitive, and locals had way too much more people than what they have now. Like I remember going into Friday locals and having 40 people into the locals, and people like you couldn't fit in there. Like they were throwing people outside because you couldn't fit in the store. And not only that, it was like the market was moving way too much. Like people were buying, selling all the time, and like easily buying cards for 30 or 40 euros. Like I remember when I first joined the game, and the second time I went to these Friday locals, I left the locals with 200 euros in my pocket. And I was like, that's the easiest money I've ever made in my life. And like, yeah, after a month, I bought a 50-inch TV for my house, which like, it is still in my house, but I'm not in my house anymore. It's like, like you understand how different it was. Like the cars were more expensive, but because generally all the cars were more expensive, there was like more money working around. But that's totally different from now. You see that the cards are very cheap after the Gold Series thing happened, and
But then,
I can't say like what is better or not. Like for sure, YCSs are way better than Shonen Jumps back then, and but still, like YCSs as tournaments have a lot of room for improvement.
mhm.
Um, it's too difficult to say what was better. I'm pretty sure that both companies, while they had the game, were working for what is better for the game and the companies themselves. Like they were never doing anything that is not good for the game.
Yeah.
I think, like, but mistakes happen.
So when did you like start properly playing, like deciding that you wanted to like get better and you wanted to play like competitively and win?
Okay, so I was always interested about winning, etc. But my first ever competitive experience was in 2011 when the YCS series started in Europe, and I couldn't go to Bochum, but like for Milan, like my friends told me, "Come on, let's fly to Milan. It's 68 euros and 70 for the hotel." I still remember the prices because I was like, "What? It's so cheap to go to fly to another country?" And like I first played to a YCS and then played to my nationals. But still, that I was like I wanted to become better, but didn't care about pro and all this stuff. The huge change I think happened for me uh, when I got into Magic. Actually, I was playing Magic for a year, and my goal was that this happened from 2012 until March, I think, of 2013. Uh, I was playing Magic, and my goal was in a year to reach a good level so that I would go to Grand Prix and make cash finishes. And I succeeded that goal. Like after a year, I went to GP and made a cash finish. But like at that point, I had to choose which game I wanted to continue. Like I couldn't focus in both games, and that's when the Dragon Rulers were released, and I played the Dragon Rulers to test for nationals. I was like, oh my god, I'm in love with this deck, and then I got in love with the game more, and I decided that all right, Magic is a good game. Like really, it has the best support from its company. But as game mechanics, it's not superior to Yu-Gi-Oh. Like Yu-Gi-Oh has so much depth in the rulings and um, in how things work than Magic. Magic is more simplified, but of course it's difficult as a game, but it's more simplified than Yu-Gi-Oh. So I said back then, okay, I'm gonna drop Magic and I'm gonna go into focusing into Yu-Gi-Oh into going pro. And after I made that decision, I had my first top, and after a week, I got my second top. Like Greek nationals, uh, I got my first top, and it was Sunday. And on Saturday, after 6 days, it was Euros. And at Euros, like on Sunday, I topped like 7 days after my first top, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I had zero tops, and now in a week I have two.
That's pretty good.
And yeah, and then YCS London happened, and I got my third top in a row. I was like, "What the fuck?" I still haven't managed to have three tops in a row or more, but it was pretty amazing. Like if you see it from another point of view, someone decides to do something and he strives for it and he succeeds. And like people, you can if someone wants to go pro and is thinking about how doing so, like or how it would be like. Uh, this is what he would expect if he decides and strive for it.
So, do you think that you got rewarded for your efforts, or do you think you just kind of got a little bit lucky with like three in a row, or do you think you really like practiced hard and did all you could to like do well in those tournaments?
Yeah, like back then, with the rulers, like when you're playing rulers mirror, you knew that the best player was gonna win, especially in baby rulers format. And back then I played at Euros. I played 7 mirrors and lost only one. And lost it not because of technical play. I lost it because of stronger sideboard plan for the mirror to deck devastation and enemy controller. So like back then I tested a lot for the mirror and I had a really good understanding of the game. Like I still have a good understanding of the game, but back then I had a huge understanding for the mirror. And like we have seen this, like back then Joshua and Michael all topped all the ruler events they were playing, and based on this, you can see that it mattered a lot how good you are. And I missed the top at Turin. I finished day 1 with X1, and day 2 I got raped by Samuel Pedigo, like the American who won the event. And afterwards, I lost to Evil Swarm because I misplayed game 2.
How do you misplay against Evil Swarm?
I don't remember the scenario exactly. I think I had a read on one of his 2 back rows, and instead of going for my read, I went for the other card to kill it with Blaster. I don't remember exactly how it went.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like it was 4 events that I was playing this format, and things were going pretty good. But to be honest, like if I see things like if back then Dueling Network was way more active than what it is now, the format would be so different that by the time we would have reached YCS London, the skill count would matter a lot less than it was back then. But that is like this thinking of how things could have changed, like how DN has changed the game way too much.
You do think the format would have been more diverse if people were more actively testing back then?
No, I don't. I'm not talking about diversity at all. Like, the amount of diversity exists as early as you are in the format.
Oh,
so,
right, okay.
If the formats where DN exists, because people are playing way too much, and like there are many people playing competitive on DN, they try to figure out more stuff. Like they test more, they play more, and it makes sense that they evolve more this way. They evolve the format more this way. So by doing so, the format generally evolves around them and the entire game, and it evolves very fast. Like I'm pretty sure that the game was every format was constructed around the speed that the decks would have reached, the deck building process would have reached during each event. But because DN existed and it was super active, that was the main problem. It was super active. The format was progressing a lot faster than what the company had. The company and the playtest team had predicted on happening, and that led into after like 2 months, each format was boring. Like, look at it in the past. Like the Dragon Rulers format started with the baby rulers. It was 2 months, and afterwards it was 6 whole months until the rulers got banned. So we're talking about 8 months. But the people were bored of that format at the end of the 7th month. But look at the past format, like the previous format with Monarchs, Pendulum, BA, and all this stuff. It wasn't a bad format. The problem with the format was that it was overly developed, like the most developed format I think we have ever played. And
what do you mean by developed? As in like figured out and like understood?
As I said earlier, when the format starts, there's huge diversity, and because there's a huge diversity and not that many people know how to play against everything, because we're talking about you need to know how to play against everything and you don't have that much time. The skill about technical play and deck building matters way too much. And as the format progresses, you reach a point that the lists start looking the same. So, like, let's take a look at the format after the limitation of face-off, like after Prague and MTS Cologne. Like back then, Exotic Monarchs were first popped out, and Exotic Monarchs was a really good, healthy deck for the format when it appeared. But afterwards, it started becoming mainstream, and all the lists looked the same. Like at the beginning, people were pondering about the number of Kuras from 1 to 3, and about playing the Overmind Teleporter, and about playing Emergency Teleport, and all this stuff in the deck. And afterwards, there is a point that every 40 card list would look almost the same. And that's when BA popped out, and PKBA, and it became dominant back then. And all the PA-BK lists actually look the same because they had reached a point that people were playing the same thing, and they had reached that they knew how to optimal play against every other deck. Like every average or less average player knew how to play against Monarchs or BA. Like they knew the optimal things they could do. They knew all the cards, what they were doing. They didn't need the cards. They knew interactions. So they were playing the optimal things they needed, which was not in case at the beginning of the format. And that's where deck building counted a lot. But afterwards, all the decks were almost the same. Like you could see the difference would be 2 or 3 cards.
Yeah.
And that was the huge problem of the format. That's when you reach that point, that's when the format becomes worse. That's when decks switch into maining floodgates, as we've seen with BA. Like BA creates this problem in every format since it existed. In the beginning, it starts as a good deck, like it works on its engine, a high ceiling deck, but afterwards it switches into becoming an anti-shit thing with maining mistakes or fragrance or like all this shit stuff to just destroy the format, switching to becoming an anti-deck. That's the thing I hate about BA. It's such a good deck. It's such a really entertaining deck to play with, but it's only like this in the beginning of the format. Afterwards, it's always the deck that switches into maining floodgates, as happened in the last format. Yeah. When BA was a deck that was waning fragrances.
Well, that's interesting how you compare those two different times and eras in Yu-Gi-Oh. That's I mean, never played back then, so I can't really like see what it's like. But yeah, it's interesting like how different and these things are and how they compare and contrast with each other. But
and I'm really interested about this period. Like, if you see the ARG lists that were released yesterday, actually, and all the lists from regionals that were popping out the past 2 or 3 weeks, like it's so weird how this format is right now, and everyone feels that this format feels really weird because they were used into DN and going into DN, watching games and playing, and they would see what's going on around them. But now the only way they're getting information is from going to locals and playing, and from YouTube videos. So people need to adapt now to how this format works, and I'm really interested to see how this will affect the YCS in Minneapolis, I think, like the American YCS, and afterwards our YCS, Liverpool. Like I think Liverpool is going to be a very skillful, very interesting YCS because of the fact that the format is progressing really slower, and that actually helps a lot the teams. Like not only our team, like the big teams, it generally helps like the team parties. Like when I say 5 friends want to travel to an event and they're testing all 5 of them, that really helps them. because when they sit down and start testing and testing correct, because it matters a lot testing correct, not just playing games, they will figure out things that the average person, average player, wouldn't have figured it out, and that gives them the edge for the YCS. And all this happens because there is way less information than earlier. Because, like, don't get me wrong, DN was a good and a bad thing for the game. Like, it was free playing online all the time. That's really good. But on the other hand, it was progressing the format a real lot faster. So, as I said, it was good and bad for the game. For the big teams, it's is really good. But on the other hand, it's weird because, like, for international teams like ours, we have the problem of how we test with each other. Like, for since Lorenzo joined in the team, Santoni, I have been testing with him all the time for my events, and like we have built almost all the decks together. And like right now, we have done nothing because we cannot test because he's in Italy and I'm in Germany. So it's really weird now. But on the other hand, we are still getting, like, that's why the team deck chat is more active right now, and more things are getting generally discussed, and rogue strategies and all this, which earlier, because everyone could test with their partners, was not so much a thing.
Well, going back to some history, yeah. So this was 2013. You attended 4
A good
events,
year.
or no, for Dragon Ruler format. You attended 4 events.
2013 was like Greek Nationals, Euros, YCS London, and YCS Turin. Yeah.
Oh, so those were the ones you top 3 in a row, right? Or was it
Yes.
2000? Okay, right.
And
cool.
I failed on Turin.
So what were you doing before then, since 2009 when you first started? Like, what was your goal back then? Like, were you attending locals regularly and like going to regionals or something, or how were you doing?
I simply wanted to become better at the game. Like, I was when I remember that when I first went into that Friday locals. I'm mentioning these locals a lot because it was like the place that everyone from Athens would go into, that locals, because like it was close to the center of the city, and because it was on Friday, there was no other locals on Friday. Everyone from the city would go into there, and I remember when I first started like watching the players who were playing there. I saw like players who were renowned internationally, like Christos Mourikis and Nikos Boubasakos. They were they were well known outside of Greece from making the huge Greek dominance top 8 at Euros in Amsterdam in 2008. Like top 8 were 4 Greeks, and it was won by a Greek back then. And they were from the people that topped back then. So like I was interested a lot about learning who are the good players in the game, like the names, and some of these names were going to where I was going. So I liked, and I still like competition, and I wanted to reach their level, and I want to play against them, beat them, and do it again and again, and play as much as possible against them. But I had to reach their level to be someone, not like the random guy who just play against them, lose, and they wouldn't give a fuck. Like, and so I wanted to become better. So I was working with my friends, like close friends back then. Like we were, I had this. I still have. I have one friend who are together since the first grade, like friends since then. And we were playing. You started playing Yu-Gi-Oh together, and thankfully for me, he was also a good player, and we advanced together. And very fast, we were getting known at the local communities there, because we both of, like he was so salty when he was losing. He hated losing. So he wanted to become better because he hated losing. I wanted to become better because I wanted to compete against the better players. So like you see that's when you have a goal and you need someone to help you with that goal. Like let's say you want to test for a YCS, your playtest partner must be someone who has the same goal as you or a higher goal than you. Because if you want to test with someone who is not, let's say, attending the YCS, he won't give as much thought into the thought process you will be doing yourself. Like so this way he will just drag you down. But if you have someone testing with you who also has the same goal, like let's say both of you want to top a YCS, then this will help both of you to achieve easier your goal. Because both of you strive for that goal.
So did you speak to any of the big Greek players? Because obviously you guys are from the same country and stuff. Maybe you guys like attended the same locals and stuff. Did you ever interact with the more famous players from Greece?
Like it was natural. Like I told you, I was started getting known at the locals. So it became natural that I would start hanging out with them and all this stuff. And yeah, that's how it happened. And after 6 months, I was into good friendship with them. And they told me to travel with them to Milan for the YCS. And yeah, that's kind of how it happened. But I think my biggest breakthrough was when at 2010, I played only one tournament to qualify for nationals because back then it was the last year that you needed to play to qualify for nationals. And at that tournament, I lost the last round, and a guy approached me, like one of the biggest names, Akis Papas, like the Americans know him. And he was interested in my X Sabers. I was playing X Sabers, but back then everyone had jumped the Infernoid hype train. They were like, "Oh, Infernoid, no Infernities, yeah." They were like, "Infernities, best thing, yeah. Let's do like the Beatles shit loop and bring all the big stuff, yeah." But the best thing of the format was X Saber, but it was under the radar because of Dark Souls. And people hadn't realized how freaking awesome Dark Souls was. And I was playing Sabers, well, of course, not the best build or something, but I had noticed how fucking good Dark Souls was. And Akis approached me, and he was like, can I see your deck? And we'll discuss a little bit. And afterwards, he told me that he wanted to play the deck for the Nationals, and asked me to borrow him the deck. And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? Why not help a great player? And because I asked nothing from him, he gave me his Infernity deck to play, and he added me to his testing circle, and that's how I made my kind of breakthrough as a player. To start like learning better how to play and create the basic structure for becoming to reach like how I am now. Like if I didn't have him and testing with him and figure out how his mindset works about all the cards, I wouldn't be here.
Does he still play?
No, he's right now a poker player. Like he stopped playing and he went to playing Pro Evolution Soccer competitively, and he was the world champion for 2 years in a row.
For Pro Evolution
and
Soccer.
Afterwards, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And he became, I think, a Poker Stars player, and right now he has a villa in Athens, something like that.
Just from poker.
Yes.
Wow.
I actually like he's way more richer because of poker.
Yeah, I mean that's the game for money, not Yu-Gi-Oh. Well,
Yu-Gi-Oh is more about the passion, actually. Like we know from playing at tournaments, you're not getting money. Like if you reach advices, if you reach top 4 and higher, you can get money, but still it's like nothing compared to other games. But I don't think anyone is playing for the money. Everyone is simply playing because they love this fucking game. Like, why? It's like this saying that someone says that I quit from Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, but everyone's like, we know he will come back because it's like the game is like a drug. It's so good and it creates so much passion around everyone that it just you can never truly drop from Yu-Gi-Oh. Really, like even if let's say like, you never play again, you still keep track of what is going on in the competitive scene or for events and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And all this is because of the passions, how all the people love this game. Like I'm pretty sure if this game wasn't in my life, I wouldn't be the person I am now, and I'm very grateful for how my life has evolved through this game into everything. Because like, really, it has changed my life a lot.
For the better, I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I moved to Germany because of Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
from Greece.
What were like some of like the best moments for you, and also what were some of the worst moments for you, like throughout your time playing?
You want them in chronological order or
Yeah, I
best
guess
and
so.
then worst?
That works. Chronological.
Chronological.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, I remember my first most awesome moment was when I uh, topped Greek nationals because it's like it was my second nationals, and I was playing so good. And at the last round of Swiss, I played against my nemesis, like a guy who I still cannot beat him. He must be 10-0 against me. He's a fine player, but every time he plays against me, he always have the nuts, and I always have nothing. And I lost to him, and I was super sad because I got my second loss. And then I saw I was 16th, and yeah, like there was an emotional spark afterwards, like shouting and swearing. And like afterwards, yeah, topping heroes and then topping in London. But I loved a lot at London. When I topped, I also with me topped two of my best friends. We were the three of us, and we are calling brothers each other. They're still really good friends to me. Christos Mourikis and Nikos Hadjioannou, and like all the three of us topped together, and it was an amazing experience for us. And like afterwards, I got a real bad streak of not topping any event outside of Greek nationals, outside of the country generally, for more than a year. Like YSS London was on October, and afterwards Turin I didn't top. Next it was after Turin. What was it? I can't remember what was after Turin. So I YSS Paris. After Turin it was YSS Berlin. I didn't top, and then YSS Paris. I also didn't top. Greek nationals I topped, but we're talking about outside of Greece. Like afterwards, Euros 2014 I didn't top. YCS Madrid I didn't top. YCS London I didn't top, and then everything happened at YCS Milan, and like I had this really bad streak of not topping, but I reached a point after YCS London where I was like super unhappy, sad, and depressed of what was going on. I was like, okay, I need to clear things out and figure out why exactly I didn't top and stop saying about bad luck. And that's when I sat down and I took up a sheet of paper and wrote down exactly with clear mind what happened at every event, what was the problem at each event, and leaving my ego outside. And after that, I tested for a month for YCS Milan, testing between Shadows and BA. That's when and I was watching a lot how the format was progressing, and my meta call said that Shadow was going to be the best deck for YCS Milan. because of how popular BA was, and I had figured out the. I still think it was the best list for to play with shadows and for that event, and the result was top 18, and that was like my most emotional moment so far. Was like at top 16. I had never reached the top 8 and more of YCS, and I wanted so much to reach the top 8 because I would get the interview and start building a name for myself this way. Because like if you top and you do deck profile, okay, like yeah, you get some name. But I wanted to reach more. Like um, when you want to go into pro, you need to establish your name, and everyone in Yu-Gi-Oh loves fame, and I loved and I still love fame, and I wanted way too much to reach the top 8. And at the Swiss rounds, I was very unlucky to play against a top 2. I played against Klee and got my revenge from Euros 2013, which we played, and he eliminated me at top 2. And then top 16, I played against Cliffords, again against Cliffords, and I lost game 1 into a very random maxi, and like I started losing my temper, and I went to the. We got a deck check, and I asked to go to the toilet for in the meantime. And one of my friends there, Aris Samaras, he like he calmed like not calmed me down. He told me the correct words I needed to hear to like compose my mind again, and I proceeded into winning the next 2 games. And when I finally won that game, the last game, game 3, I remember like all the moments exactly, like the way I was seeing everywhere, the way I was feeling everywhere. I still remember them because like they were the most emotional moments from I have gotten from the game so far, and I think the best positive uh, emotions I have received so far. And like when I couldn't OTK him because of the Swift Scarecrow, and I was saying from my inside, I was saying, "Who the fuck plays Scarecrow? I'm going to lose now to fucking Scarecrow. Like I cannot lose the fucking Scarecrow." And he drew for his turn, and I was watching his reaction to try to figure out if he drew something to break through my board. And afterward, when I realized he could do nothing, I was like, extend the hand, extend the hand, extend the hand, extend the hand. And that's when he extended the hand, and I grabbed his hand. I had like 10 or 12 friends watching me, and they all started shouting. And I started in Greek saying, "Fuck yes!" But not this way. Like I shouted it too much and smashed the table. Like I think I must have created a hole in the table when I punched the table then, and I went to them. They were all cheering so much because they were super happy for me, and I was also super happy. And like I still remember this, and I'm getting the chills right now because I remember the whole thing. It was like such an amazing experience. Like I just top-8 in YCS, but it meant so much to me, and it meant so much for my team as well back then. Like it was amazing. And like then I at top 8 I lost to Daniela Stella because he had to win that event, and I had to break game 3 against him. And like after this huge, very good moment, like I got my biggest letdown ever at YCS Prague immediately. Last round of Swiss, I played against a friend's guy, and he got a game loss because half of his side was not the same as he wrote down on his list, and like he got me very irritated because when the judges came back and told him to change the list, he was acting as a barbarian and started shouting and hitting the table, and they did nothing for that. So like he changed the cards into the cards that were into his deck list, and we proceeded to play. And at like there was no game one, so game two, he went into summoning with disc, 2 Cliffords, but afterwards he tried to take them back, and I didn't allow him, of course, because if he had changed them into monoliths, I would lose. And he wanted to change them into monoliths, but he had already summoned the cards, and I called the judge, then head judge, for appeal. He appealed to the head judge, and the head judge gave it to him because he was French, and the language barrier. So I lost the
What? They
game.
let the
and
judge let him take back a move, just like take back a move.
like it wasn't exactly like this. I cannot describe it correctly because of words. Like you could see that the like he put the cards on the field and went to shuffle his deck, and immediately he took the cards back. But he left the cards down, and he picked the deck again to start shuffling, and immediately he pulled the cards back into the deck and brought up the other cards. And like if you see it from the head judge perspective, he can accept what he's seeing on the board, and he was seeing on the board the monoliths. But I was telling that like the floor judge saw what happened, but the head judge said because of miscommunications, the thing happened. Because Wise's Prague was the first event that they applied a lot, the whole shortcut and the miscommunication thing. And like the game three, I lost it to a series of very unfortunate events, like losing it to the third Vanity's Fiend because I had 5 outs in my deck. I had already used I had already used a Mirror Force against 2 of his Vanity's Fiend earlier. I was playing Necros. And when he summoned the third Vanity's Fiend, I couldn't draw an out and lost the game. So I lost the last round of Swiss. And after I lost, he took the paper and was like saying things in French, and I could understand that he was swearing at me. And that's when he raised his arm and put it in front of my face and waved to me and said, "Bye-bye," like mocking me in the face for losing. And I got very angry, but I got mostly sad because of that. Because I lost and I didn't top, and I lost to that guy and didn't top. And I know this guy through the passing of time. I learned from some French friends that guy is known as being a savage, a hated guy in France. So I can understand that why he did that, because he was simply a very bad guy. And it was the first time I lost the last round before topping. It was like a really unfortunate thing that happened, but it was mostly like it was a week of unfortunate events for me happening. 8 days before Wise's Prague, I was owning a house and it got burned. And I'm not going into details about the thing that my house got burned. And afterwards I played at Prague, and that shit happened. I was trying to compose myself from losing my house and then going into the event and trying to top the event, but then more shit happened. So it was really unfortunate, the whole thing that happened. But there's I believe in fate, and fate favors the people who strive and try for more. And after this huge bad beat story, if you're were you playing back in 2005?
Not that long ago, no.
No, really? Okay, so
what year did you say?
Prague? 2005, 2015. Sorry, 15.
All right, yeah, I was playing in 2015.
Yeah. So do you remember after Prague. We were expecting a second YCS,
In
but
Germany, I
they
think,
never.
right? It was supposed to be.
They announced Bochum 3.5 weeks before the event,
Yeah.
and I was keeping money for the YCS, but then it was like we reached a month and nothing happened. There was no event. I was like, okay, there's no event, so I bought a PS4, and then the YCS was announced. And I was like, holy shit, I'm fucked. Yeah, I'm not going to the YCS. Fuck this. Like, I can't afford to. And then the ban list happened. I was like, oh my God, this is the best list ever. Best format ever. It was true. Like, YCS Bochum was the most, I think the most skillful YCS I have ever played. When Necros got toned down a bit and all the floodgates were limited. And I reached the point that I
I think
asked my
Shadal's had
mother.
the water fusion as well, right? At that point.
No. At Bochum, not yet.
Oh, okay.
At Bochum, the Star Seraps were first released the week before. So I went to my mother and I asked her for money for the first time since I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Because uh, when I first started, I realized I could make money on my own, and I started making a business, which I still do, as I am a card vendor. So I asked my mother for money, and she couldn't afford giving me for because like traveling to Düsseldorf would cost 200 euros. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to Bochum. I was kind of sad, but yeah, I couldn't do anything about it. And after 2 days, I got a phone call from her boyfriend, now husband, um, who told me there are 200 euros on your bed. Go take them and pay your tickets. And I went to Bochum, topped the event, and played against Piran in top 32. And after the game, after the match, we chatted and discussed more. And I told him I would be interested in joining CCG. And we discussed more about like the whole joining process. And
I was actually going to
the
get onto
night,
that, but you didn't join TCG to 2015?
yes,
Are you sure? Because I swear I remember. What team were you in 2014? Because I remember playing
I
you
was
in the side event, and I
in the
swear I thought you
team.
had a CCG hoodie.
So before that, I was in Team Razor Sheds Gaming,
Oh, right, okay.
REG, the Greek superstar team we had built, and
It's like a white
it was
design and
like
stuff, right?
yeah, we started with white t-shirts, and then we
Right.
switched into t-shirts with the colors of like houses there right now with blue, white, and some purple dots. Like if you see my profile from YSS Milan and Bochum, you can see the shirt. Like it was like really like a football player's shirt. It was too professional as a shirt.
Mm.
And then like that's when on Bochum, after discussing with Piran, I joined. And like as I was saying with the story, the same night on Sunday, he messaged me and asked me to send him my biography. Along, like I told him that also my friend Christos Mourikis would want to join. Like for people who don't know who Christos Mourikis is, he was pretty much known on DN as Red Gamer 7, and I think pretty much everyone knows him.
Yeah.
And I told Piran that he would also be interested in joining, and we both sent our bio. He did a short interview to both of us. He passed it in the team, and we got accepted. And like the whole thing happened. As I said earlier, fate favors the people who strive for more, and like if you say it this way, if after my bad beat story, actually after my bad streak of other YCSs and reaching London to, like I reached the bottom and then said I want to climb back again, and I cleared my mind to figure out what I was doing wrong and correct my mistakes, and this way I topped Milan and created a better name for myself, and but that also gave me the boost to want to continue for more. but because I didn't top to Prague. I had the huge passion to top Bochum. Uh, like you see, like everything happens from something bad, but it can continue into something good. That's something I also believe in my life, that many shit can happen in your life, but if you see them clearly, and if you really want to progress, you'll find your way through all this shit and become better. Like really, like even I mentioned earlier that my house, yeah, like I do not regret this happening, because after my house got burned after a year, I sold the burned house for like small amount, of course. I'm not gonna say anything about that. And through the money I got, I helped a lot my mother for with her debts. But most importantly, I moved from Greece to Germany, and I'm here now in Germany to create a better life for myself, to progress my future, because of that shit happening. Because I had my house burned, and I didn't top at Prague. I was so passionate to. I wanted so much to continue into playing at Bochum to redeem myself, and I asked my mother for money, which I wouldn't have done into any circumstance, and that led into her husband giving me the money, and I paid the event, topped and joined CCG, and if I hadn't joined CCG, I wouldn't be able to move to Germany, because maybe I would have joined CCG later on, but right now, as the events have gone, I wouldn't have joined back then. So if I had joined later on, my connections with the guys, and most importantly Norman, wouldn't be the point that they are right now. So if I were to move into Germany, it wouldn't be now here. It would have been later in the future.
Hashtag deep.
So through all this shit, it's like all this happened because of Yu-Gi-Oh. I freaking love this game so much. People tell me like because they know when I'm talking about Magic, I understand a lot of things about Magic. They're like, you're a good TCG player, so why don't you go into Hearthstone to make money? And I'm like, no, I love Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm not going to move into any other game before I reach my goals. I have reached one of them, but I want to reach them all. So I'm not doing anything until that.
What's your next goal?
I'm staying here. My next goal is to be the first Greek guy who wins a YCS. Like generally win a YCS, but it's most importantly for me is to be the first Greek guy who does so. And then it's like I also want to become Greek national champion, because the Greek way of thinking, like except for not only we value a lot friendship around us, and I think that Greeks are the most the Greek people are the people who you can trust more as friends, because like we value a lot of friendship, and we can understand way more our friends. Like that's something I learned more when I moved to Germany. Like in the Germans have the way of thinking that in a group they value more the one person individually. So like if let's say someone like there's a group planning, and one of this person one person of all this bails from the whole plan, they go into like, okay, he should bail because he has to see himself first, but the Greeks see the group first, they see the friends first, and then themselves.
Yeah.
So like, but not only this, we also value our country a lot. Like, okay, like let's say the country is in shit because of its finances, but everyone, like even me, I left my country, but I still love my country. I still love the people there. So it matters a lot, the title of the Greek national champion. Everyone who plays at the nationals in Greece doesn't play for the prizes, doesn't pay for the travel, doesn't pay for the fucking prize card. Which is like, if you sell the prize card, it's like having a month's salary. No one pays for that shit. They all play for the title. They all play to say the moment I am national champion. Like we even have a word for this in Greek, and to say that word. we all play for this word, to be able to say this, and that no one can tell you anything back.
Mm.
And after like winning YCS and League Nations, of course, is going to World. Like I don't give a fuck about winning Euros or something. I just want to go to Worlds. I want to feel, to have the experience of what everyone is talking about, to see what makes Joshua go so crazy about Worlds, like to see like what makes Joshua becoming emotional about something, or see what makes Lorenzo Roma so happy when he's talking about Worlds. I want to see all these things. I want to have this experience. Like I think everyone wants to, but yeah, it's like it's something that drives me. It's like I set these goals and I follow them and to drive. That's what drives me. It's like it's like my fuel that runs my body for to continue.
Yeah.
But as it seems right now, I need to set my goals a little bit on the side, because first I need to figure out how I'm going to survive fine in Germany.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
like it's like it's still, I'm here for like a month and a half, I think 2 months now or more here. But things are kind of weird for me. Like I had to switch to adapt into so many different things, and the fact that we're not living in Cologne, we're living in Langefeld, which is like 30 minutes by train outside of Cologne. And when I say we, I mean Norman and I, because I'm staying at Norman's house. It's like I'm living in the countryside, kind of, not in the city. And I'm a city person. I love cities, not the countryside. And I had to adapt into all this. And I adapt in a lifestyle where I'm not talking the language that people are talking around me, and how jobs work here, and all this stuff. And yeah, I'm still into this process, but priority number one right now is to not reach the point that I will have to say I need to go back to my house in Athens. To reach the point that I will be able to even save money for things that I want to do in the future, like to afford living here and save money for future things.
Yeah. Of course.
It's like one of the things that we were discussing with Norma the past days, that I still haven't got a job here because like the German system, the bureaucracy and all this stuff take too much time from the companies. Like the companies take too much time to answer you, and because I don't speak German, is very difficult to find a part-time job. So this might have reached the point that I might have to miss YCS Liverpool, the first YCS in 3 years that I will miss, because I have to follow this priority right now. Because
of course.
I got
mean, that's more
I got a
important,
chance
so
through this game to move into another country, to start my life new and into better life. So I need to figure out a way to use the opportunity that was given to me.
yeah.
Otherwise, all this would have been for nothing.
Well, guys, it's been just over an hour now, I think. So this has been a pretty
Is it?
special. Yeah, it's been a while. This has been a pretty special episode, to be honest.
I am losing you. I cannot hear you, and I can't hear anything.
Testing 1 2 3. Hello. Am I better? Am I good? Can you hear me?
Yes, kind of.
Hello, stream. Is that all good?
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah, continue.
Okay, cool.
I can hear you.
All right, so yeah, this is a pretty special episode. Honestly, it's one of my favorite. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. We're just gonna do a quick QA. So if you guys want to throw some questions out to Themis, we can do that. So we'll be on for like another 5-10 minutes. But there's some random questions, I guess. So to start off, what was your? Go on.
Before the guys start asking the questions, I want to pass the following thing. Like, I love researching and learning more stuff about literally everything, life, the game, generally everything. But what I love the most is finding, reaching a position that I know the things I've learned are correct, so that this way I can pass this knowledge to other people. And like one of the best things I have figured out for that drove myself and has allowed myself to work, and I have passed it to other people, and they have seen success through it, is that if everyone loves, like, literally everyone loves this game, and like if you decide you want to reach to it going to pro and want to reach into more, like you need to make up your mind for it, to say that to decide that you will do it. So you need to try for it, to strive a lot for it. Like it's really helpful reading articles. Hoban's book is helps a lot with this thing. Or if you read Patrick Chapin's Magic book, like if you still you don't understand Magic, it really helps a lot about understanding how to drive yourself into doing more. But if you want to reach more, set goals for yourselves and follow these goals until you reach them. Like never accept not reaching these goals. But if you create many goals, you will reach a point that you will never reach any of them. Like go from step to step to step. Never say I am good enough. Never say this. Like if you ever reach the point and you say I am good enough, you're destroying yourself. And I did this in my past. Like when I had all the events that didn't top, it was because I was saying I had 3 tops. Oh yeah, I'm good enough. Like no. You always need to strive again for more, and that's the same thing with human relationships. If you want to have your friends, your girlfriend, everyone around you, you need to always remind them that you are there for them. Like you care for these people. Always try for more until you reach your goals. And do not never drop the weapons. Like even you will taste failure, but failure is there to make you stronger. So if you use that as a weapon, you will always be stronger than when you were before you failed. So yeah, that's it.
That's some good life advice there for you guys. So take that away. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I love the passion. Honestly, that's pretty cool. One day I'll get that passionate myself at this game and hopefully improve. But yeah, so going back,
I think you should focus more on your life right now.
yeah, of course. But yeah, so some random questions. What was your first? What was your favorite deck from before? From the past?
I can't hear you again.
Oh shit. One sec.
It's like you sound like a droid or something.
Yeah, I know, it's because my internet's being really shit tonight.
Yeah.
What was your favorite deck from the past?
Favorite deck from the past? Dragon Rules, of course.
Yeah, I guess you did talk about that.
There's
a lot,
nothing
so.
else yeah, Dragon Rulers are fucking amazing. The best thing ever printed. Like Dragon Rulers and then Necros. Like actually Shadows and then Necros, but like Dragon Rulers is like the most skillful thing you can play in mirror matches.
Really. My next question was, what's your favorite format? But I guess it's probably just Dragon Rulers as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And what?
And then it's cube drafting. I love cube drafting.
Drafting?
Cube drafting.
Oh yeah, cube. Okay, yeah, of course. Yeah. Then what was your most hated deck in this game and hated format?
Hated format was the 2012 format with Insectors, Windups, Dragon Rulers. No, Dragon Rulers. Sorry, Chaos Dragons. That piece of shit. And Rabbit. That was the most hateful format because that format, like, it was so bad that every deck could do everything with just one card. Like they could start play with out of nowhere. If they had one card in the hand, you knew you could simply lose. And if you didn't have a defense against that one card, they could do simply everything, like Dragonfly, and then starting looping, or Rat, and start doing wind-up combos, or Future Fusion, or all this shit, or Rabbit, or tour guide. It was so bad. And the most hated deck ever. That's a difficult question because I hate every helmet deck. But I think the number one should be Clifford. Like I am known as being a BA killer, but I don't hate BA. I hate what BA becomes after they start banning floodgates. But I think Clifford is my most hateful deck ever. Like I hate that shit so bad. Like I even have disrespect for people playing Klee. But I also believe it. I have still faith into humans that everyone who has played Klee or is still playing Klee in one point in their life, there is a point that was saying, "What the fuck was I doing?"
Well, yeah, that's your interesting take on it, to be honest. But who's your favorite and least favorite player on the team? I don't know about least favorite, but yeah, who's your favorite player on the team?
On the team, I can't pick up one. I think I would cheat. I will pick up two, Joshua and Lorenzo, because both of them have an amazing mindset into the game. Joshua is an amazing deck builder, and his thought process is freaking awesome. And she has allowed, through the time, I have gotten knowledge from him, and it has helped me through the past events. But Lorenzo is I'm talking about Lorenzo Santoni. Like Roma is a new guy, but when I'm saying Lorenzo, just plain Lorenzo, I mean Santoni. With Lorenzo, I think I have been the closest with him, from every other member, because I don't know how things worked with us. Like we reached a point that we started testing about everything, and there were events, especially for Prague, where I had my first message in the morning that I would receive or send would be to Lorenzo, and the last message during that day would also be from Lorenzo, or I would send to Lorenzo. Like we're discussing so much about the deck, so much about everything. It's because our mindsets are kind of different, but they are open, both of us, so we both can understand completely how each other thinks of, and we can reach a point where we can combine our mindsets to create something that I believe in the future could be closest to the perfect mindset.
Yeah.
Least favorite, there's there's nothing I can say. Really, least favorite, I just like all my guys, my team. It's simple.
Of course.
It's simple.
What are your thoughts?
Or I could say you. You suck. You're so bad.
Okay, next question. What are your thoughts on floodgates? Do you think they help or hurt the game?
That's a good question, actually. Floodgates. Floodgates, I generally hate them.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think they are bad. Actually, I think they are bad where they're being used. So let's take it this way. I think the one emptiness in decks is helpful. Because emptiness is a card that has a drawback and a self-destruction mechanic. But on the other hand, cards like Fragrance against Pendulum, I think that's fucking bad. Because the card says you cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh! In the same with Mistake against Negros, the card says you cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh! But Emptiness, on the other hand, says that you can play Yu-Gi-Oh! To have a good Emptiness, you need to use your resources to establish a board, and then use the Emptiness, and then it depends on the outs that the opponent can have, because he can not only have spell trap removals as outs, he can also have main monster removals like sweepers or a monster effect that can kill the monsters. So I think cards that say don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Are really bad for the game, and the same is true I think for Skill Drain.
For what?
But Skill Drain. I hate Skill Drain.
Okay.
I have sworn to myself I will never play this card ever in my life.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, cards like Emptiness are fine. But what I love the most is semi-flat-gate cards like let's say Abyss Gaius is like the first card that always pops in my mind as semi-flat-gate. It's a monster that it's big on itself, and it has a negation for monster effects because there's an opponent's turn. So this allows you to establish a board and keep this board with that monster. But on its own, it can be destroyed pretty easy by any spell or trap. So that's really healthy. And in order to use Gaius, you need to use resources. And the same is true with cards like Rafflesia or Infinity. But on the other hand, I hate Vanity's Fiend because the way Vanity's Fiend, I think, is being used is very unhelpful, especially with BA. Like, I always say this, when BA, I think playing Vanity's Fiend in BA is super bad because simply the moment you're gonna use the Vanity's Fiend, you have made your deck really bad. But they have reached a point that they need to use it because of Ghost Reaper Cherries, how the fuck this thing is called, for the mirror match. Because that's a card that is degenerate for the BA mirror match. And they need to play degenerate cards like Vanity's Fiend to counter that thing's existence. But if they are going into using Vanity's Fiend against other decks, I think that is really bad because the BA engine on its own with the traps allows you to combat the other decks. But if you're going into Vanity's Fiend to win, you will not. You're just damaging more your deck than what you're damaging your opponent.
Well, I agree. I guess that's a good way to put it. And finally, one last question just to round things off because we're way over time here. Something pretty generic. If you went to ICS Liverpool, which deck would you play?
I wish I knew. I would love to start testing at the beginning of the next month for Liverpool, but I still don't know if I'm gonna make it. But still, I want to help my teammates because that's why a team is for. So I think what I'm gonna play, or what I will suggest to other people playing, would be the thing that I will figure out through testing. Of course, it's going to be a high ceiling deck. So like everyone would expect to say ABC or something, because like, ABC are on a hype train. But through the OCG duels I have watched, because I like watching OCG players playing. I see that ABC is what I would describe as a bad deck because it's a low ceiling deck and it's all around rank 4 centric, but doing only one rank 4 and then bringing the fusion, and that's all they can do. And then it's a back row deck. So that, by my thought process through all this year, is a fucking bad deck. But we'll see. Like, maybe where it's a point that the deck is high ceiling, or because it's TCG, the deck might switch into playing less traps and focusing more into doing more plays in your deck, so higher ceiling. Like, I love Blue Eyes, but the brick thing with this deck is too much. Like, it's like playing Monarchs. Like, you can build houses. Like, I could build my burned house with that deck or something. So like, I really don't know. But I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be BA, because BA is a deck that has no room anymore about improvement, like, and innovation. If let's say we could figure out a pendulum deck which is not the same deck that is being popular, and it works, then yeah, I would go for pendulum. Or if that would be like, if we figure out a way that we could make Blue Eyes more stable, I would go with Blue Eyes. Or if we figure out a way for ABC to be a higher ceiling deck, I will go with ABC. Like, it depends on what playtest is gonna show us.
Well, there you go, guys. That's this has been your interview with Themis, and yeah, this was a real good one. or almost an hour and a half actually, almost. So this has been it's been really good though. I've enjoyed it. So
really. I thought it would be like for 40 minutes or something.
yeah, but yeah, thank you so much to everyone who joined. If you came in late or halfway or whatever and want to catch up, this will be on my channel, so make sure you check that out. Of course, make sure you check out CCG on the social media, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, etc. And yeah, I guess that's it. With a big, massive thank you to Themis for joining me.
Thank you.
And
Really nice.
yeah, so we'll see you next time. If this should be up on YouTube the day after tomorrow, I think I'm gonna schedule this, or maybe tomorrow. I'll see what my YouTube schedule is. But yeah, so just check out my YouTube and you'll be able to watch the replay if you want. So thank you everyone, and good night.